G'day so-and-sos, welcome to our sewing room. My name's Kathy, that is Lucy Pear, and we have a super fun bag for us to make this week. Now, I think anyone can make this bag. It would be a great beginner bag if you're new to bag making. I made this all on a vintage sewing machine, so domestic sewing machine, and there is no hardware, no pockets. It's just very straightforward and easy. So it was one piece of fabric for the outside and one piece of fabric for the inside. And then we have our tab bit up the top and our straps, and that's it. So easy. Okay guys, well, we're ready to get cracking, so let's do it. Let's have a look at what we need for today. So all my usual stuff: cutting mat, acrylic rulers, scissors, a rotary cutter, snippers, pins, and some clips. And then over here I have my fabrics, and my fabrics I'm using today are all cotton woven, and all these measurements will be in the description box along with what interfacing I've used, so go there and print that out and have it handy, but we'll go over it briefly here too. So I have my two straps, and my straps are 3 by 16 inches, and I've used a light iron-on interfacing for those guys. And then I have my 4 upper tabs that's going to be the top of our bag, and they are 3 by 12 and light iron-on interfacing. So 4 of them. And then I have my main pieces. So my exterior piece is 20 by 24. And I've used a really light iron-on fusible fleece for that one, but I've cut that a little bit smaller just to keep it out of my seam allowance. And it is 19 by 23 for the fusible fleece. And then I have my lining piece, and my lining piece is the same size, which I'll have to look at again, 20 by 24. And I've used a light iron-on interfacing for that one, and I've taken that one right up to the edge. I don't mind if that's in my seams. Okay, I'll do something with the cat and then we'll get started. Hey. Let's start on our nice big pieces. So I'm going to just pop my lining to the side for a minute, and I'm going to have my exterior piece in front of me, and I'm going to have it long ways and right side up. So what I'm going to do is take one of the short edges and fold it up to the other shorter edge, line those up and fold that down. Cool. Grab my ruler, and I'm going to measure in along the side. So I'm working on the side bit, 1/4 inch, and I'll give myself a line down there. Now then, from this top corner up here, I'm going to measure down 2 inches and mark that. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. So measure in 1/4 inch, give myself a line, and then measure down 2 inches and give myself a line like that. And then I'll do the same thing to the other side. Okay, and same thing, 1/4 inch, give myself a line, and then measure down 2 inches, and then same thing on this side. Now we're going to do the same thing on our lining, except I'm going to go a little bit wider because it's our lining, so we want it to fit a little bit snug, and then 2 inches down. Cool. So when I do my lining, I'm going to do it at 3/8 inch rather than 1/4 inch, just to make it just that little bit, tiny little bit tighter. So I'll wax some clips on there, and then that's that bit done. And then we'll do our lining. Pop that to the side. So same thing with the lining. Start with the right side up in front of me, so pretty side. long ways. Fold the two short edges together at the top. Line up those sides. Give that a little press with my hand to fold it. Cool. Okay, this time working on that folded edge, I'm going to go 3/8 and measure down 2 inches from the top. 1, 2. Give myself a line. And then same thing on the other 3 sides. Hope that rain isn't too loud for you guys. It's a rainy old day in Wagga Wagga today. But I love the rain. Nothing better than the rain, although it was a little bit hard to get out of bed this morning. Wasn't it, Lucy Purr? But she needed breakfast, so once I got a claw up my nose, hooked up my nose, as I was trying to sleep in, I wake up pretty fast because the cat's got to eat. Okay, and then that side, and 2 inches down from the top, give myself a mark and whack some clips on there. And then we'll take this over to the sewing machine and we are going to sew up those sides, leaving that 2-inch bit at the top open. And I'm going to be using one of my vintage machines today, which will be fun. Okay, let's go do that bit. So I'm going to start on one of my exterior pieces. Now I'm going to sew down that line that we drew down the length at that 1/4 inch, and I'm going to start at the 2-inch mark that we made at the top there. So I'm leaving that whole 2 inches at the top open, and sew a few stitches and back stitch. Make sure you back stitch. And then I'm just going to follow that line that we made all the way down. And then I'll do exactly the same thing on the other side, and then the same thing on my lining. But on my lining, I'll follow the 3/8 line down that we drew. So we'll just have a slightly wider seam allowance on the lining bit. Okay, got there. That's those done. Okay, now we've got our sides sewn down, we're going to box our bottoms. So let's work on the lining piece first. What I'm going to do is open it up sideways. Are you helping? And I'm going to flatten out, Lucy, I'm going to flatten out this corner. Loose. Hop away. Going to flatten out this corner so that that side seam is laying up that way. And then I'm going to grab my little ruler and I'm going to measure up from this bottom corner. Get that seam laying flat. So it looks like my seam is, pretty much in the middle. And I'm going to measure up from this bottom bit 2.5 inches. So 1, 2.5. So along my seam, I've got 1, 2.5 inches. And I'm going to give myself a line over there. And that was a lot harder than what it should have been. It's really not that hard if you don't have a cat in the way. And I'll whack some clips on there. And then I'll do the same thing to this other corner. So open that right up so it's nice and flat. Get that corner sitting nicely. Get that seam in the middle, like that. And then same thing, 2.5 inches from the bottom. So I've got 1, 2.5, and give myself a line across there. And then I'll do the same thing to the exterior piece. Pop that one out of the way. Grab my exterior. Same thing. Open it up sideways. Flatten that seam out. Get that laying nicely. 2.5 inches up from this bottom corner. So 1, 2.5. And see how I'm running that line up the middle of my seam so that I get a nice sort of straight boxed bottom. Whack some clips on. And then this side. So same thing. Open it up. Lay it flat. And 2.5 inches. Get that seam laying flat. So 1, 2.5, giving myself a line up my line of stitches, so nice and even on both sides. Whack some clips on there, and then I take that back over to the sewing machine, and we're just going to stitch down along those lines that we just drew. Okay, let's go do that. So I'm starting on my exterior piece, but it really doesn't matter which bit you start on. So I'm just going to make sure that I backstitch and then just carefully work my way across, and I'm going to hold that seam flat and then backstitch at the other end. Just like that, and I'll do all 4 corners exactly the same. Okay, we have our boxed bottoms done. So there's our bottoms all sewn down. Get rid of those clips, and then we're just going to trim those corners off, leaving around 1/4 inch or so. So just carefully cut across those corners and get rid of that excess fabric. And then same on the exterior, like that and like that. Cool. Now what we're going to do is just grab our lining bit, doesn't matter which bit you use honestly, but what I'm going to do is fold open that top 2 inches and fold along that line where I had my seam allowance, just so it sits nicer and a little bit easier for the next bit. And then that side, and iron that open, and then the other side as well. So fold that over. It should just fold naturally where our line was anyway, because we've got the seam there below it, and then that way. Cool. Okay, and then same thing to my exterior bit. Open that up, that side bit, fold that little side bit in there, iron that down on this side. And I'm wondering if anyone is going to get the reference for my fabulous nails this week. We'll see. See if anyone gets it. I'm not going to give you any hints. Open up that side. And then this side. Like that. Cool. There. Now we've got those sitting a little bit nicer. Get rid of my iron. Okay, now what we're going to do is grab our exterior bit and we're going to flip it the right way out so we can see the pretty side. And just make sure that you've caught your seams all the way down. Everything looks good. Grab my lining, and I'm going to leave my lining so it's wrong side out. So my exterior is right side out, pretty side out, and my lining is wrong side out. Then I'll pop my lining into my exterior bit so they're now wrong sides together. So if we look inside, we'll be able to see the pretty side of our lining. Then I'm going to grab some clips and I'm going to line up these corners. So where that bit where I just ironed and folded over, I'll line them up on the exterior and the lining and whack some clips along there. And then this side, line that up as neat as you can. Now if you want to use pins for this bit, go ahead, use pins for whatever bit you want. But I prefer clips, but pins might be easier to hold that seam down for some people. Okay, same thing on the other side. Lining up those folded over corner bits. Nice and neat. Whack some clips on there. And this side. And I can't remember where I got this. I think this fabric, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I think it's a Missy Rose one. And if it's not Missy Rose, it would be Ella Jewel, I think. They're my two favourite places to buy from in Australia. Cool. Now we're going to take that back over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew down those V's on both sides, and then I'm going to zip across the tops as well. So while I'm here, I will just whack some clips on along that top edge on both sides as well. And then we'll take it down to the sewing machine and sew all that down. And when I do along the tops, I'm just going to be right up close to the edge, just at a 1/8 seam, 1/8 seam allowance, just to hold it all together and hold it nice and neat while we do our pleats in a minute. And other side, whack some clips along there. Oh, she's sleeping. Shh, don't wake her up. Keep it out of my hair. Okay, cool. Let's take that over and do this bit. So I'm starting on one of my V's and I want to be at about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I know that I'm catching both sides of that fold. I'm going to come down to my little corner bit. And when I get down here, I'm going to leave my needle in my work. lift my foot, pivot it around sideways, drop my foot, pop in 1 or 2 stitches just to get me back where I want to be, lift my foot, needle down, so then I can come back up that other side like that. And then I'll do the other side exactly the same, and I'll skip across the top, little back stitch. Let's take that back over to the table. So now I've got my exterior and lining all put together. Now I've gone ahead and marked my centers, but Lucy Purr got in front of the camera. So what I did was pulled my bag sideways, so my seam lined up there, and then just gave myself the tiniest little snip above my stitch line on that side. And then same thing, lined up my edges here, and then gave myself a tiny little snip over here. So I've got my centers marked. Now I'm going to lay that flat in front of me, grab my pen. I'm going to use my grid. If you don't have a grid on a mat in front of you, just use a ruler. So I'm going to line up my center snip on one of these lines. I'm going to measure over from this center snip 1 inch, and I'm working towards my right at the moment. So 1 inch from that center snip to the right. Then I'm going to measure 2 inches, and then 1 inch, and then 2 inches, like that. So from the center, 1 inch, and then 2, then 1 inch, and then 2. And then same thing on the other side. Going left now, measure 1 inch, and then 2 inches, and then 1 inch, and then 2 inches, like that. Flipping them over, same thing. Center snip lined up on my grid, 1 inch, and then 2 inches, and then 1 inch, and then 2 inches. Give myself some good marks. And my pen is heat erasable. So again, going left now, 1 inch, 2 inches, 1 inch, 2 inches. So I've got some good pen marks that I can see. Okay, now what I'm going to do is grab my iron. So now I'm going to make my pleats. I'm going to find that first mark, the 1 inch line, and fold it. I'm working on the right hand side. I'm going to fold it from left to right to meet the next line. Whack a clip on there. Find the other 2 inch line here and fold it in to meet that other one there. So then I have my pleat. And then same thing over here. I'll find my first one, fold it out to meet the second one, whack a clip on. Oops, clips everywhere. And then find the last one and fold it in to meet the second last one. So then I have my pleats like that. And then I'll give them a little hit with the iron. Like that. Fold it over, and then same thing on this side. Going to find my first mark, fold it in to meet the one next to it. Whack a clip on there. And then find my last one and fold it in to meet the other one. There. Like that. And whack a clip on there. And then same thing on this side. Take that first one, fold it in to meet the second, whack a clip on, and then find the last one and fold it in to meet that one. Like that. Cool. And then I can just iron all those sides down now that I've got the clips on there. I'll fuss with it a little bit and get them sitting all nice and give that a good hit with the iron. And then once we've done that, we'll take it back over to the sewing machine and we're just going to baste down those pleats just to hold it all into place while we get our straps on there. Okay, let's take that over and get that done. Okay, so nice and close to the edge, we're just holding it all in place for the time being. It'll get sewn over again in a little mini. My clips are coming off. Okay. And we just want to make sure that we are holding our pleat nice and flat. We don't want it to bunch up. So if you've got one of these or any sort of stiletto, I mean, if you don't, just use a pen or something like that, just to hold it in place so you're not getting your fingers anywhere near. Cool. I'll do the other side just like that.
I wish we were bold to just fly away. I don't wanna care. Just be here and I'm good alone. I'll be okay, miss you like an old friend. Too scared now, thinking I should call.
Cool. Okay, let's go have a look at these handles. So for this next bit, I have my 4 tabs, 2 straps, marking tool, acrylic ruler, and my iron is heating up. So I'm going to grab one of my tabs, have it wrong side up in front of me, and working on one of the long sides, I am going to measure in 3/8 of an inch from that long side and give myself a line just on one of the long edges. And I'll do that to all 4 pieces.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say.
Okay, that's those ones. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my straps. So, but this time I'm going to do it along both of the long edges and the same width. I'm at 3/8 of an inch, working on the wrong side of my strap. So on the back of my strap, this cat, she went really quiet and I was like, oh no, what's she up to? She only goes quiet when she's doing something she's not meant to. She's into everything. Okay, so 3/8 on both long sides of my strap, and my iron should be nice and warm. And what I'm going to do is fold down all of those sides that I've marked. So both sides of my strap and one side of my tab bits, and I'm just going to iron them down.
There's not much to do when all I can is thinking about you. Not doing well, don't know where you are, 'cause you're not here. It's been way too long. If I could lay down beside you, I would. When nothing really matters, that's all I wanna do. I hope that you are safe and that I will see you soon. If I could lay down beside you, I would.
Okay, wax some clips on my tabby bits, just so as they cool down, that crease doesn't fall out, sort of holds it in place. And cool. Pop those ones to one side, and then with my straps, I'm now going to fold it in half, long ways, or along the long ways, along the length. So I have my nice strap with those raw edges hidden, but it's not too thick, because this bag, I've designed this bag so it's easy to do on a domestic machine with whatever interfacing you want. And our ends are going to be hidden up in the tab bits, so we don't need to worry about folding in our raw edges at the ends. So wax some clips on there. Now we're going to take just our straps over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew them down, and then when we come back we're going to enclose them in those tabs. So we don't need to worry about sewing anything with those tabs at the minute, but we'll just get all the ironing done and out of the way at once for this bit. And the irony being that I hate ironing, but I really quite enjoy it out here. Okay, cool. Wax some clips on there, and we'll take these over to the machine. Don't forget to turn your iron off. Okay, so I'm going to start on one of my folded edges, and my stitch length is around a 4, and I'm just going to remember to backstitch, if I can remember how on this machine. There we go. And I'm at around 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to try and stay nice and consistent all the way down. And then at the other end, instead of zipping across the bottom as usual, I'll start back up at the top. So now we're going to attach our handles to our top tab bits. So I've got one of my tab bits laying right side up in front of me and one of my straps. Now this is the folded ironed down edge where we left our clips, and that is the edge that we left untouched. We're going to be working on the edge that is left untouched. So I'm going to measure in 3 inches from this bottom corner, 1, 2, 3, and lay my strap at that 3-inch mark with around 1/4 inch overhanging. So you can see how I've got the majority of my strap coming up over that folded edge, like that. And whack some clips on there. And then I'm going to measure in 3 inches from this end. 1, 2, 3. And pop the other end of my strap at that 3-inch mark there. Making sure that my strap hasn't got any twists in it. It's not folded over. And put some clips on there. Lucy, I will pat you in just a minute. Just give me a second. Like that. Then I'm going to grab one of my other tab bits and place them right sides together, like that. So the ironed over edge is at the same end of the other ironed over edge. And then I'll just shift those clips to include that top bit. So now I have that strap sandwiched in between 2 of my tab bits, like that. And this is our folded edge at the top. Then I'll do the other one, and then we'll take them over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew down those 3 sides, but not the side where we've got the folded over bit. So I'm going to start up on that side bit, up with our folded over edges. And I'm going to be at around 1/4 inch seam allowance. I just want to make sure that I'm grabbing both sides. Little back stitch. There we go. Leave my needle in my work, lift my foot, pivot, foot back down, and away I go. I'm just making sure that I'm holding that folded over bit so it stays folded over and doesn't flip up on me. Little back stitch, and the other one exactly the same. Holding those bits closed and then back stitch up over them. Too easy. Get rid of that bulk. Just the corners. I'm not going to take down the extra bit of the straps. Take that off and then poke out those corners. Flip that bit out. Poke that out with my fabulous nails. Who needs stilettos when you've got nails, hey? And then give that a little hit with the iron. So where we ironed that up and folded up that edge earlier is going to make it a lot easier and a lot neater to stick onto our bag. Oh, I love how that looks. So cute. Look at that. Okay, and then this one. So I'll take off those corners and flip him out. Get rid of all his thread. There we go. Okay. Flip that out. Poke out those corners. There we go. Okay, and then give that a little pressy press. Like that. Now leaving those straps with that little bit of overhang means that we can top stitch up over that and just reinforce them a little bit. So it's always a good idea with no matter what bag you're making to just leave yourself that little bit of overhang when you attach your straps. Now we've got those, I'll get rid of the iron. So now what I'm going to do is attach my little handle bit to my bag. So this is where that 2 inches that we left comes into play up along the side seams. So I'm going to have it in front of me, grab my top bit and slide that top bit over the top of my bag like that. Down to that 2 inch mark. Whack some clips on the side there. Like that. I just love how easy this comes together. So much fun. And then on this side. So slide it down over that whole 2 inch hem and whack some clips on there. Cool. Okay. Now pins. Okay, got my pins. Now I'm just going to whack some pins in along there just to hold this strap bit nice and even, so when we go to sew it, it stays where we want it to. Okay, and then one in the middle there just to hold it all together. Cool. Okay, other side, same thing. Slide it up over the outside of our bag. And whack some clips on each end. There and there. Nice. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, get those pleats sitting where I want them to, and then whack some pins in there just to hold it all in place. Just make sure the main part of the bag is tucked right up in there, so it's all nice and sitting flat. Like that. Okay. Now I'll take it back over to the sewing machine and stitch this top bit on. We're going to go all the way around. I might just sit and fuss with this for a minute and then I'll see you over at the sewing machine. Okay, I'm top stitching, so you want to lengthen your stitch length a little bit, and I want to be around 1/4 inch or so along this bottom edge. Now, if you're using a machine with the free arm, it'll be a lot easier because you can wrap your bag around it, but I had to pick one with the flatbed on it, didn't I? Okay, so you're remembering to back stitch a little bit and make sure that you have plenty of bobbin left because you don't want to be playing bobbin chicken. So if you need a hump jump going up over these humpy bits, then grab one. Otherwise, just work your way carefully all the way around.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
Leaving my needle in my work, lift the foot, pivot, drop your foot back down and keep going.
Nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around. Eyes closed, like we're dreaming even when we're not. You and me got a whole other meaning, I don't know how. You and me just know how it feels when we fall to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
Cool, let's go have a look. So there she is with her handles on, and I've just given it another hit with the iron just to get those pleats sitting where I want them to. And I am loving how that came out. That is so cute. And such a quick, easy sew with no hardware and all done on a domestic machine. So I think anyone can do that. Okay guys, as usual, if you enjoyed that, hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, remember, it's only fabric. We can always buy more. And we should, we deserve it. Okay, see yous. Bugger.